Okay, so I guess we can start explaining for those who don't know what happens now. Beta Quest is a loading zone randomizer, which means that every time you enter a loading zone, you get to some place, which is usually somewhere else. But if you enter the same loading zone twice, you get to the same place again. In the middle of the stream, you can see a board of 25 goals. The goal is to claim at least 13 goals. And if one team claims a goal, the other team can't get that specific goal anymore.
Also, something to point off right off the bat is there's a couple pretty quick goals on here. Blue Fire might be one you see him going for right off the bat. That is something that is very fast. So something to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, and 5 hearts as well, if you happen to stumble upon 2 bosses pretty early.
Yeah, and Chopper is already getting the butter. And I need to find the 3 elves to have the blue fire.
There are also goals which are usually rather simple to get. For example, Requiem Spirit, which we have on the board, which is like you kind of have to hit the right loading zone in Beta Quest, because you can't just walk into a trigger.
Alright, so this is going to be neat, actually. Emma have found Dodongo's Cavern. So given that, that's also going to be another very quick goal.
Yeah. Yeah, Marco already took heart pieces, so I guess he'll rush the 5 hearts.
Here's also another thing that's kind of neat to point out while they're just sort of exploring, is that both Chopper and Am are going for the bottle right off the bat. If that's because Blue Fire's on the board or not, I don't really know, but it is a little bit of a time sink when you decide to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Bottle is usually something which you want to get, but not necessarily right away.
Yeah, especially since they found Dodongo's Cavern. I'd say if they maybe hadn't, even rushing 5 hearts might be a better choice than this. But it's still not a bad decision, just given Blue Fire and how useful Bottle is.
Yeah.
And Marco just found Sansong. That's really good early on in Beta Quest.
Yes. Well, Sansong is in casual play used to make it day or night. What it does as well is that in most places it puts you back at the entrance, and in Beta Quest that results in putting you into the place where you would get if you actually entered the loading zone, which would normally lead to where you are right now. You can achieve the same by dying, but playing Sansong is way faster. And that's also a good point, because it's pretty hard to find the Ocarina sometimes. And there's a glitch called Ocarina items, which lets you play the Ocarina if you have a bottle and something to catch.
Also worth noting with Sunsong is if you Sunsong in places like boss rooms, that won't necessarily take you, say if you die in a boss room, of course you'll go back to the beginning of the dungeon or what have you. Sunsong in there will actually result in a different loading zone than dying, so it can be useful in that way as well.
Some might also wonder how, for example, Amma has the Master Sword as child. That happens if you die in Castle Escape. The game just puts Master Sword on B. Marco is now fighting one of the guards in Gerudo Valley, or Gerudo Fortress rather. There's Gerudo's card on the board, which is requires to fight all 3 of those guards. 3 of them have 2 loading zones to get to, but 1 has only 1 loading zone, so you have to find that.
Oh, and Manu just found the trials, so I guess Blue Fire is gone.
Yeah, he also found Ice Cavern as well, though you generally need Bombchus for that as child, so it's better that he found trials.
I think he will first dupe a bottle to not lose his bugs. You can just catch bugs and then equip the bottle onto another slot, so you will have a bottle which is basically not in your inventory, only on your C button. And then he catches Blue Fire in a real bottle. So he can still use his bugs, even though the only bottle in his inventory contains Blue Fire. The catch about this is that he can't drop this Blue Fire, otherwise Green Team would have to unmark that goal, and their opponents can just claim it. So it's always a good idea if you have something like Blue Fire or a Bottle Fairy to just get it, even if your opponents claimed it. In case they lose it, you can just mark the goal right away.
Yeah, not only just that, I'm not sure if you mentioned, but that Blue Fire does have to be in one of the real bottles. Having it in a dupe bottle won't count for that goal, and so he needs to make sure that he actually keeps it in that real bottle that he has.
Well, it can be a dupe bottle if that dupe bottle is actually in the inventory. You can dupe over Echo Nuts, for example. But that's also risky because you can lose that bottle and then the gold is gone as well.
Yeah, that's true. You just can't have it on one of the fake C buttons, I guess I should clarify. If you just put it over a C button like he did where he duped over a blank C button, if it doesn't appear in your inventory, you don't get to keep it.
Manu's in Deco Tree grabbing a map right now. One of the goals is 5 maps, so if he finds some more dungeons, that might be a goal which he gets. Also, Amma found one of the places for the goal of all 4 market skulls. This is actually a goal which is not that bad in beta, because it can be easier sometimes than in normal OOT. Usually you would need to go adult and then back child. But here, as the loading zone is randomized, you can actually get it as adult or as child. Yeah, Amma pretty much has to find a second unique loading zone, and then he is probably able to get that. What you see Amma and Marco doing now is grabbing Bombchus in the trials. They have to get the rupee, which is above the BMOs. The normal strat you use is that you hover up, but you need a shield to do that. There's however a strat where you jump slash in midair to grab that, and that's a pretty precise jump slash.
Also, something worth noting about the market skulls is the other loading zone has already been found, the single loading zone. I think it was on the other team though, so they both have one loading zone for lots of for the market skulls rather, and of course they've already found Hyrule Field on both teams, or Hyrule Castle on both teams.
Yeah, but you have to go adult for that goal, so
yeah, you do.
That's still some way to go. But it's maybe a reason to go adult early if you can do that.
Yeah, other than that though, there actually isn't a whole lot of early adult stuff on here. Like, of course, you've got the temples, some of the songs will help, but there's not a really like urgent need to go adult until they find some of those temples, I think.
Yeah, definitely not. The only goals which are relatively easy to get once you go adult are probably Lostwood Skulls and Market Skulls.
Alright, so it looks like Marco should be getting the map and compass in Dodongo's Cavern pretty quickly here. He's going to be grabbing the shield with a jump slash to hit that business scrub, and then I'll be getting the shield so he can go through this dungeon.
Yeah, maybe he wants to get the bombs first. You can void out here to get back. It doesn't look like he does it.
That's actually neat though. How do you void out there? I've never seen that trick.
You go like where the BMOS is on. How do I explain it? You face the giant skull and just mega flip basically in the direction of the entrance. And if the platform which is rising and lowering isn't all the way up, you will ground clip and void out.
Well, that's actually really cool. I'll have to learn that trick. But I think he might just end up going through it normally. It's probably a little bit safer, I'd imagine. And if he's getting the compass anyways.
Yeah. I was just assuming maybe he just gets the bombs first, but there's basically no need to. I mean, he is at a risk of losing his shield. But yeah.
I think the bigger risk of doing that goal, getting the bombs first, would be actually losing the map and compass skull. And, you never know where your team is, and it wasn't too terribly hard of a loading zone to find. So
yeah, I mean, we see that Amma is doing it right now, so it's definitely a good call. Wait, and actually they claimed it.
Yeah, I don't get.
Maybe
the orange team claimed the map and compass in DC.
And Marco also didn't grab the bombs.
I guess if he has a lot of choose, he might just come back to that back entrance a little bit
Oh, and
later.
Chopper found, I think, the one Gerudo guard, which is only one loading zone.
Yeah.
But he got caught for some reason. But yeah, at least he knows where it is.
So that's actually really neat then, since I guess Emma's stream is a little bit behind according to chat, since he was lagging earlier. It is quite possible that he got there first, and so that's probably going to be a really close highlight if we can actually get the true timings.
Yeah. Also, what we haven't talked about yet is that some goals require Zelda's Lullaby. Actually, it's one of those songs which are quite important. It's not that a majority of goals would need that, but definitely it's one of the more important things. For example, 5 skulls in Shadow Temple. But I guess in Beta Quest you don't need CL, but you have to get lucky to not need it. Then there are goals like Lost Woods Heart Pieces. There's you see Nairu's Love, where you need magic. So that's also a loading zone you want to find.
And Marco just going for the second heart pieces in DMC.
Yeah.
Yeah, not only is that a goal, which is nice, it's also going to help towards those 5 hearts. So it's going to be really good for them.
It's also quite tough to get this child with the timer. And if you fail it, you burn your shield. That's not a thing you want to do. And Marco found Zelda's Lullaby. That might be a huge advantage.
And Minnow also found silver gauntlets, yeah, so he can RBA those to get the blue gauntlets, which may be a reason to go early adult as well.
Yes, that's a good reason to go adult, I guess. Because even if you don't find the loading zone, if you find Shadow Temple, it's also pretty easy to get them as adult. And some of you might wonder how Menu has a purple tunic right now. If you go through loading zones and then hold directions on your D-pad, the tunic color will change. And also speaking about Shadow Temple, Ama just found it and is going for the hover boots.
Yeah, I think if Minu takes an early adult and they finish off that 5 hearts goal, this is actually going to start looking really bad for Emma and Choppers. There's a couple of goals on here which are just extremely late. Things like water skulls and even the shadow skulls are bad. So this could, if they get a couple more of those early goals, it could be really bad news for Emma and Chopper.
Yeah, and Marco can get like 4 songs really easy since he got Zelda Lullabies, he got Sun songs.
And also, hard pieces and Lost Woods are probably quite easy to get now. You just need Sarias, but that's, I don't know how many loading zones. Could be like 6 or something like that. Maybe even more. And then yeah, Lost Woods obviously, but that's also usually quite easy to find.
So I do think it's kind of interesting. They found a lot of loading zones with some heart pieces they could go for. Like Gerudo Valley just led to Zora's River. That's 4 heart pieces right there that are not too terribly hard to get as child. So I'd expect to see at least one of them go for that relatively quickly.
Oh, and Requiem.
Oh, and there's Requiem.
Yeah, that's... Looks really good for them right now.
And that'll actually be Marco's 4th song if he chooses to go for it too. Assuming it doesn't crash, as it can crash sometimes in this game, so hopefully it doesn't do that for at least for Marco Minnow. I think to answer why it crashes, sometimes when you change loading zones because of the randomized loading zones from the Requiem cutscene, the textures on screen, that little sand blowing across the screen, doesn't work in some loading zones, and so ends up crashing the game. Is a simple explanation of it.
Yeah, it has to do with that. Also crashes if you if you use cheats to break out of cutscenes there. Basically, I think what happens is if you come out of a cutscene and then this effect would play or something like that, then it's bad. And it's probably something in reverse what's happening after Requiem, or even Silver Gauntlets, I think.
I also find it a little bit interesting that we have Emma going for the gate skip for Gerudo training grounds, even though there's tons of other loading zones I haven't hit there. It's always a good loading zone to check, but it seems like a little bit rushed, especially when they're behind.
I mean, it could be a great loading zone, who knows?
Yeah. Same goes for all those other loading zones, though. You never really know with Beta Quest. It's just up to fate, I guess.
You always pray for the seat where these weird loading zones are important in the end. Then, yeah. If you get them early, it's always nice, I guess.
So I think these next 30 minutes or so are actually really going to be key for both teams. If Marco and Menno can just execute and finish off all the goals they have set up, it's going to be really difficult for Blood and Tree to catch up. Hope I pronounced that right.
Marco probably going for the 5 hearts now, it seems.
Yeah, well, exiting the river leads to lost food, so he will do the boss HP. Exiting river is Requiem, and then it's lost food, so he will do the 4 songs, boss HP, and 5 hearts at the same time.
Doesn't go for the second heart this year, which is... Oh, he does go. No, he doesn't. It's probably not a bad idea to leave that behind because... Yeah, it takes a while.
Yeah, and Shepard just found Zelda Lullaby.
I actually don't know, Dat, in the chat, if you're gonna miss both the last hour. Even though some of the games have been going into time, these are both really good teams, and there's already a bunch of goals being taken by Marco and Menno, so it's quite possible to be over before the full 3-hour time limit.
Yeah, but basically anything can happen, so being 3 goals ahead is not a guaranteed win at all.
Oh yeah, but by no means is it a guaranteed win for sure, but they've got, a significant other number of advantages that they've been working on. I think the most difficult thing for Emma and Chopper is just the number of collection goals. Like, you got the Skulltulas in both Zora's Domain, Shadow Temple, Water Temple, just collecting all those when you're behind, which they'll have to do if they want to win.
Yes,
eventually.
If you are in such a position, you also have to kind of count on your opponents to have very bad luck with their loading zones. Because all these goals take pretty long, and then, yeah, you can just get sniped on some of them. Yes, one of them has a purple tunic. You can manipulate your tunic color in this hack. Marco found Forest Temple, which is also a very good loading zone to find, because on the one hand there's Forest Boss Key on the board, and also the map is pretty easy to get as a child.
Yeah,
so
that's
find
really
some
good.
other dungeons.
So yeah, Chase brings up a good point about overtime rules. Maybe worth just discussing very briefly. If you do end up going into overtime, if it's tied after the 3-hour limits, there'll be a 30-minute overtime. If both teams are tied after that, the first team who got to the tied amount, so say if it's tied 12-12, the first team to get to 12 is going to be the victor. Yeah, it doesn't have to be 12, though. That is another good point. It could be tied 9-9, the first team to get to 10, or whoever got to 9 first. It's just, 12-12 is the most common example, at least I think I've seen.
Yeah, at least in 2v2.
Oh, and
Oh yeah,
just found
Marco
GTG.
found another goal. This is GTG is pretty easy as child if you have Bombchus. He can just go and get the 5 keys he needs now. This is actually faster than doing it as a dot, to be honest.
Yeah, Child has a lot of good things in Gerudo training grounds that Adult doesn't necessarily have. Things like Vine Clip and the Song of Time blocks that you can jump to in that one room will both make this a little bit faster as Child. I did not say Vine Clip.
Yeah, I mean, all the players are from France, so might as well call it Wine Clip.
Oh yeah, that is a good point. Minu is doing RBA here. I'm sure for most people watching it, they've seen Ocarina of Time speedrun before, but for those who haven't, essentially what RBA is, it'll allow you to get a bottle on your B button, which then allows you to manipulate items in your inventory based on the item you have on your C right. So for example, he had gotten bottle in his B with a bottle on C right, meaning that there'll be a bottle put in his third bottle slot. It's because it's an empty bottle, or bugs or fish, whatever is in there. Of course, with red potion and other contents of the bottle, it can change that bottle slot too.
And Marco is doing the vine clips we talked about. What happens there is, if you grab onto something like vines or these, whatever this is, for a few frames during the grabbing animation, Child Link will be, basically a little bit on the other side of the wall. And if you get hit by an explosion, you can just get knocked through the wall. And like that, he just clips on onto the other side. Adult Link isn't on the other side at all during the animation, so this is a child-only trick. And yeah, Amma probably already got, if he's still so far behind, the heart container and Ghost Room, and therefore they were able to claim 5 hearts, which is pretty good for their team, because that's one of these fast goals which you don't want to leave for your opponents.
Yeah, they really would have needed that. If the other team got 5 hearts, that'd have been extremely bad. Being down 6-1 is never a spot you want to see yourself in. Even now, it's not looking great, but At least it's a little bit better with them getting that goal.
Yes. Okay, so I guess there's still some confusion about RBA, and there's not much going on right now, so I guess I can try to explain it a bit more in detail. When you catch something in a bottle, the game writes... Let's say you catch a fish, then the game writes a fish on the C button, which you use to catch it. And then it also wants to update your inventory. And what happens is, all the bottles, if they're empty, they are basically the same item. In fact, they are item 20. There's a list of all the items, and an empty bottle just happens to be number 20. And so, for the game to know which bottle to put it in, there is a second thing which it stores in its memory, which is kind of an offset, which tells the game the spot where it's in the inventory. And if you have a bottle on your B button, then there's not really an offset stored anywhere, but the game would always look at the byte, which is, I think, 3 spots behind the one which is on the button that you're using. So at that point in the memory, there's basically the item which is on C right instead of some offset. And the offset can go from, I don't know, from 0 to how many items there are in the inventory, -1. But the key which this item has on C right can go much beyond that. So at some point, you can write into some slots which are not in the inventory. Then you write bottles, in the space beyond the inventory, and then you can get songs, for examples, or in this case, there's blue gauntlets, which means if you have the pocket Kako on C right as adult and your RBA, you get gauntlets based on what you have in your strength slot. So if you have the silver gauntlets before your RBA, you will get blue gauntlets. And that's a goal which is exclusively reachable with RBA.
So another thing that's actually worth noting here is that both these guys are, both these teams are very skilled. Of course, they made it to losers finals, or losers semis at least. But another thing worth noting is trick knowledge isn't actually always the best. The really good game plan will probably save you like 99 times out of 100 versus just general trick knowledge. This is notable by the fact that when I was talking about Menu, who's sort of skipping the hearts, he actually had Marco go back for them, and because he was already halfway through collecting hearts and had to get the Lost Woods heart pieces anyways. So, pretty good planning will carry you a long way in beta quest tournaments.
Yeah, I didn't notice if Chopper has Zarya song already, but he's doing Ocarina minigame right now, so he might be able to actually claim Lost Woods heart pieces.
I think he does have it already.
Yeah, he definitely does. He already went through the ZL cutscene, and I'm pretty sure when they were grabbing Zarya when we weren't paying attention, but I'm not positive on that one.
Also, Ama grabbing the child-only Lecalia skull, so he's probably, like, as soon as they find Temple of Time, he probably wants to, considering they're up behind.
Oh, you know what? Even another thing worth pointing out about the planning thing is that Marco didn't get Bottle, meaning he can't use his Ocarina to play the Ocarina minigame, or Ocarina items in this case. So he actually had to go get that before he could get those Lost Woods heart pieces. So that's why he's not doing him right now. We were saying he had a really good setup to go get him, but he actually had to get the bottle first.
Yes. Now this is the magic of Lockout. He has no idea that Chopper is doing the goal right now, so he probably will work towards it. Maybe start playing Ocarina minigame. And it's probably then just for nothing, because before he is done, Chopper will have claimed that goal. That's, yeah, basically the whole point of Lockouts. Yes, you are allowed to take notes, you are allowed to watch your VODs, you are allowed to watch your teammates' VOD, but you can't watch your opponents, for example. That's not allowed. Also interesting that no team has found a fairy fountain up until now. And as I mentioned before, Chopper got Blue Fire just in case Manuel loses it for some reason. With Blue Fire, it shouldn't really happen, but in a case where you maybe don't have a second bottle and your bugs, for example, are in a tube bottle and you lose it, then you might want to trade that one goal, especially if you are ahead like they are right now. And yeah, right as I talk about fairy fountains, there's the first one. How it works is, in the game there are 6 fairy fountains. One of them gives you magic, the other give you some upgrades, for example magic spells. In Beta Quest there are obviously 6 fairy fountains as well, but there's a catch to it that the first time you enter fairy fountains, before you have magic, you will always get magic. So if he comes back to this spot, there's a 5 to 6 chance that you will actually get something else. For example, Nairu's Love, which is a goal. What you can see is if you get a spell or something else. The other options are double magic or double defense. The fire that you see, which is red right now, is only red if it's the magic, double magic, or double defense fire fountain, otherwise it's green. And on this board, there's no double defense, no double magic, so you would just skip that. Especially you want to avoid getting double defense, because it's often useful to die in some places and that just takes longer. Chopper also found Temple of Time now. So I would assume that Ama will maybe go out pretty soon. He has the hover boots already, so he's set up to do most stuff. All that he's missing is hookshot, basically. But you can work around that. And that would open up the possibility to get blue gauntlets pretty quickly, for example. Also Lost Wood Scouts, which he's preparing right now.
Yeah, that honestly doesn't sound like a bad idea to especially take away some of those early adult goals from the other team. Just making sure they get those, even if you're a little bit behind on items, you know, not having hookshot and things like that suck, but you want to make sure you get those goals. So Gamma Fox asked in the chat if one of the players achieves a goal, does it count towards the list? The answer to that is yes. Only one of the two players needs to get the goal, though they need to get it fully. They can't have it split between the two, say for things like hearts. One player would have to get all 5 hearts in this case.
Oh, Marco chooses to die right now, loses his Deku Shield.
Oh, and it looks like Chopper went back to the Fairy Fountain, and it is a spell. So there's a 1 in 3 chance that he gets a goal just right here. Let's see what it is.
Yes, and the animation which plays when the fairy spawns. So if you know what it looks like, you can say which spell it is. I have no idea though.
I think I know. I think coming from the middle is Anaru's.
Yeah, that's definitely Narislav. Like on the left, it's Narislav, in the middle, it's Dinspire, and on the right, it's Pharaoh's Wind. Like when the camera at the start.
Oh yeah, that's right. So, fortunate for them. It actually looks like they're not too far behind now. Of course, they're still behind in goal.
I got really lucky with this fairy fountain right now. This is one of the goals which are just basically random, I'd say. You just have to stumble upon it. And just how Marco got lucky with GTG keys, now Chopper got lucky with Narislav. I mean, even if this would be Forest Wind, for example, it's still a good thing to have because yeah, you can warp back to dungeons at any point, basically. You just have to find one dungeon, and then you can warp back to a dungeon where you set it earlier. Dinspire obviously not that useful, however.
Dinspire does have a couple pretty good uses. It just on this board necessarily it isn't the greatest.
Yeah, it can help in Water Temple, but you want fire arrows anyway. So if you do find the bow earlier, then you will probably grab fire arrows instead.
Yeah,
but
I know.
It's definitely not even needed or anything.
Yeah. Marco taking the last card for Gyarados card.
Yeah, the last one already.
Yeah, I know they did at least 2. I didn't see him do the 3rd one, but if so, that's an incredibly fast Rudo card.
Yeah, and as predicted, Arma is going adult right now. This is a thing in 2v2 where you can just have one player go adult and the second player can just clean up the child stuff. So usually it's quite risky to go adult super early because you have to beat Forest Temple in order to go back child. And depending on the warp you find to Temple of Time, you also might need hover boots. But in 2v2 it's usually not that big of a deal to just go adult with one player.
And Marco just on Jabby. That's another goal.
Yeah, that's pretty easy goal, I would say. Not even hovering.
So have Marco and Mendel even found Temple of Time yet? I think I saw one of them check it once, but I don't know what load it was. I think the reason that they might still be keeping one of them as child is so they can get Ruto's letter for the arrows, as they haven't found Forest Temple yet for the bow. Of course, if you RBA, well, first if you get an ice arrow, say an arrow upgrade like fire arrows or ice arrows, you can actually use that as a real bow, but you need to use some silly methods to get yourself some arrows as well. So that may be what Menu's doing at the moment.
Yeah, the two ways you can get arrows is either you have to RBA them with Ruto's letter, but if you don't have a quiver, that means you can only shoot one arrow, and then you have to RBA again, because the game thinks you can only carry 0 arrows. So once you shoot one, it updates the count, sees you have, for example, 28 now, but that's beyond your maximum capacity, so it puts you to 0. You can get a quiver without actually going to Forest Temple by RBA, but that requires also a loading zone, which is unique in Beta Quest. Yeah, I mean, it's sometimes worth to RBA a single arrow. It might be useful to get fire arrows because you have to shoot exactly 1 arrow for that goal. And you can do that if you have just ice arrows or light arrows.
Yeah,
light arrows is a thing that can happen. Menu already beat Shadow, I think.
Yeah, Minu already did beat Shadow, and not only is fire arrows important for those elemental arrows, but if you RBA fire arrows, you can actually get yourself the Fire Temple boss key. So even though they haven't necessarily found it, they can just get themselves that boss key a little bit easier too. So I think it definitely would be worth given all the bow goals that are on this board.
Also another pretty fast call when your adult is getting to the end of Fire Trio. Since Ama already got the hover boots, guess he can go for that pretty quickly.
Yeah, you need either strength or I guess Ama knows how to skip it.
Yeah, Ama knows how to skip it.
So that's not too bad of a goal. He can even grab the Goron pretty quickly, probably. Goron City has decent amount of loading zones. I'm alright right now with without any swords. You should be able to get it back by safe walking at any point.
Yeah, and he can die in collapse also if he finds it, so either one will work just fine, but it does suck for the moment that he doesn't have a sword.
I mean, he doesn't really need a sword right now, and if he finds a loading zone where he will need it, he can just safe walk. So he's probably just opting to explore a little bit instead.
And Chase, you're right, adult save warp may not be collapse, but you don't need that. If you just save warp, you should be able to get a sword back regardless.
Yes. I'm not
So it's not-
completely sure because Beta Quest is based on 1.0. But it should at least give the sword back in inventory. I think what 1.0 does is that it gives you the blank B button instead of equipping sword back. Also, we were talking about fire trial right now. You don't have to actually shoot the light arrow at the end. The goal is defined as just going through the last door of the trial. So you don't have to grab light arrows for every trial goal. There is no Majora's Mask beta quest, there is other basic item randomizer.
Oh, and it looks like Minu has just found hookshot, which is very good. Also, both teams have found Ocarina, so that's going to make Sun Songs a lot more faster and useful.
Yes.
So keep an eye out for some more Sun Song spam.
And also you see Menu going very slowly here in the Dampy race, because if you get hit by the fire, your Deku Shield will burn, and you don't want that.
Oh, and he lost
Oh,
it anyways, that's gotta suck.
Won't get a 46 anymore.
I guess luckily DC isn't too hard to get to in this, so we'll be able to buy it back, but you know, it's never something you want to have happen.
Yeah.
And am I probably going for the RBA Kojiro? He just woke up Talon.
Yeah, then there's no harm in doing that. Kojiro is the blue Kako, and if you RBA that, you will get a bomb bag, which he already has, but it will be bigger, and you also get a quiver, so it would be enough for him to get either light arrows or ice arrows to be able to use a normal bow. And at that point you don't have to RBA with Slatter. You can just buy arrows or grab them somewhere else.
Yeah, that actually is a good point Sloth makes. If you RBA Kojiro, you will lose the colored portion of your gauntlet. So you lose whatever you had initially, and it'll just revert back to.
So he has to
black
rely on Chopper on doing stuff like that then. Yes. What you can actually do is get Kojiro's child, which is probably viable in Beta Quest at some point. If you happen to find the right loading zones in Gerudo Fortress, where there is a random chest which has the odd mushroom in it, and when you save warp, you will get Kojiro. And then you can do that before getting strength, in this case, before getting silver gauntlets. But that's too late now, obviously. And yeah, Amma is just now doing fire trial. Since he has Hava boots, it's pretty easy. Menu found bottom of the well, which is a great place. Has 2 shields. But he died. Yeah, that this room is really brutal. if you don't do it a lot, it can wreck you.
And so there's actually another good point brought up in chat. It's about game audio. A large reason why we don't have this, and as was mentioned a little bit in chat as well, is that the players are going to be talking to each other a lot. Communication is very key in these high-level beta quest teams matches. As you know, the loading zones being randomized, you can never really tell where everything is without the help of your teammate, and so you'd likely just hear a lot of talking from their streams as opposed to just the game audio. Unless, of course, one of them had it muted on their stream, of course.
Java found the Baronet boss room, and as we explained earlier, he's Samsung there to test what would happen if he would enter the boss door.
Yeah, you might need multiple audio cables, which isn't a terrible thing to do in response to the chat, but most people probably don't have that set up.
Yeah, you can just mute your mic in OBS, I guess. I have one player do that.
Yeah, they can mute their mic in OBS, but you'd still be hearing the audio from Discord.
Oh yeah, right, that's
through
true.
their teammate.
That's true.
I just found the forest temple, so gonna grab the bow and the boss key.
Yeah, he probably goes for the boss key there. You don't really need any items. I mean, he has hover boots, which speeds thing up a little bit. Like this goal, because you can just bypass some areas, some rooms.
Yeah, also he has to take the map, I guess.
So Forest Temple actually opens up quite the possibilities. You get the bow, which means Amma will be able to get fire arrows and therefore Fire Temple boss key. And obviously you get the Forest Temple boss key as well.
Yeah, with finding Forest, I think Amma is actually in great shape. He and Chopper are going to be doing really well since the other team isn't even adult yet and they're already on their way to get the bow. That's very big.
Yeah, also Chopper found the lab, so they just need the hookshot, I guess, to get the 5 skill in Lucadia.
Do they have the iron boots already?
I don't think they have iron boots, but they have the ice cavern.
I'm also getting the Forest Temple map. I didn't count how many maps he got already, so
I think it's his 4th.
we would
Because,
definitely
like,
see if this would have been the last map because of
He
his
got-
huge delay, so that would have been marked already, but
Yeah, he got DQ, DC, Shadow, and Forest. and Marco has 4 as well, since we got Deku, DC, Jabu, and Bottom of the Well.
And they already know where Forest Temple is, so you might be able to get that pretty soon. Because you can just climb up there as a child, that's not such a big deal. The Song of Time block where Armor Clipped is not there as a child.
So that was actually something really neat that Chopper was doing earlier. He was throwing Bombchus at the rocks on the ground to damage himself because he wanted to die, but he also didn't want to burn his Deku shield, so he was just throwing Bombchus at the rocks on the ground when some weren't falling, which I think is pretty neat.
Yeah, you can also buffer damage, as Marco just did. Explosions actually have 8 frames, I think, where you could take damage. But normally you would only take damage once, so you take half out of damage. But if you pull out, for example, Zelda's Ladder as heated, or also Ocarina, other trade items, you can basically advance 1 frame and then pull it again, and then you would take damage on every frame where the explosion is actually active, so you could take up to 4 hearts of damage with 1 bomb or 1 shoe. Just in the ballroom right now. First there's this hole in the ground. If you fall down there, you have to go back up again. Interesting is that in the cutscene where the block comes from the ceiling, if you are mid-air, you get pulled towards this hole, so if you side up right before the cutscene starts, you actually get sucked into the hole. You're in the room below, but the ceiling is closed. And yeah, I'm right now like 1.5 minutes away from getting the boss key, maybe even less.
Yeah, also Chopper found Twin Rover, so I guess that's another goal that Amma can do.
Yes, he has the mirror shield already, so he's prepared to do that. Nothing else needed.
Yeah, so that's correct, Ty and chat. When one team gets an objective, the other team can't get it. Though if they were to lose that objective, say for Blue Fire is a good example, they would the other team then has the opportunity to claim it.
Blue Fire is actually one of the nicer roles where you have to let you keep it. If you have, for example, 30 Deku Nuts, then you can't lose Deku Nuts. It's just you have to keep them, and that's can be pretty bullshit, to be honest, in some cases.
Yeah, you never really know how much you use Deku Nuts until you can't use one. Suddenly the Zolfos come a lot harder and everything's awful.
Yeah, Deku Nuts are the most underrated item, I think, in OT. And Manu just getting, Marco, excuse me, just getting 5 maps.
Yeah.
After getting the boss key, Amma is doing the boss key skip. Sounds a bit ridiculous, but to get through the boss door, you would have. But yeah, he decided not to do it because the strat he's doing is a bit weird if you don't have hookshot. Pretty sure it works, but looks significantly harder, to be honest, for some reason.
Now that was also interesting. Amma was in Morpha's room, and had the opportunity to fight Morpha if he so chose, even though he doesn't have hookshot. I guess he's just gonna instead choose to hover 2 fire arrows. Should he go for that?
Yeah, the hover is not too bad. It's definitely easier than fighting Morpha without hookshot.
I don't know. I think they're not really comparable in terms of difficulty.
I think they definitely are, especially without the hover to fire arrows, which we will see right now. Actually, it's really not that hard, and hitting Morpha with jump slashes or whatever, not being able to charge spin attacks is. I mean, it's a hard strat, to be honest. It's just. I don't think you can argue that it's similar in difficulty.
No, I wasn't saying they're similar in difficulty. I was saying they weren't really like comparable. They require different skill sets for the difficulty of the tricks. Like Morpha, it's more just manipulating the fight, whereas these hovers just have to be consistent and can't choke one. Otherwise, you're gonna end up having to start all over.
With Amma, we're not seeing him choke side flips.
No, Amma's very good. I'm sure he'll be able to get this one. Or maybe not.
That's interesting. So I don't know why he opted to do that. I mean, maybe his chew count is not that great, but still. He also started very high, but pretty sure he can make it. Yes, you have to clear Forest Temple to learn Prelude of Light legit. You can also use RBA to get it, but that's not really doable in Beta Quest most of the time. You have to beat Forest and learn Prelude legit to go back in time, though there's no way around that.
So after all that, we're finally tied up again. It's actually dead even, though Amma is adult and has a large number of items that the other team doesn't. So I'd expect him to get a few more goals here. Yes.
And we also see that he has Forest Temple Bosky right now. Before he actually gets it. We will set up RBA now with fire arrows on the right. And not only did he get Forest Temple Bosky, but also the map. But that's too late. So he now has Forest Temple map and Bosky. And I guess nothing's in the way of fighting Twin Rover now. Good.
So Ken actually asked a fun question. So my teammate Sloth and I are going to be playing the winner of these two. And I actually haven't thought about who I want to face more. We beat Loblo Injury in the first round, so I think that'd be a fun rematch. But they're both very good teams.
Yeah, the way the Ocarina works is that you have the 5 basic notes, which play when you use the C buttons or A, but you can alter the pitch by using the analog stick and the target and shield buttons. So you can play many tunes, actually, many songs. There are actually some YouTube videos, especially in Majora's, where they use the various instruments to play normal songs. And now Mark was going adult.
Yeah, he did set up the Sora the Man sculpture.
Still, I think one of them should have gone adult earlier.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
not
I'm
sure they
definitely-
had Temple of Time before.
No, they've had Temple of Time for a little bit. Not as long as Emma and Chopper have, but they had it got it maybe 15 minutes after they did. So I definitely think going adult earlier would have been at least a little bit of a good idea.
Manu hessing in circles for some reason. And Amma has the opportunity to learn Menu at the Forest. Sometimes you just end up in a loading zone which leads here, and you have to learn the song, have to watch the whole cutscene, can't do anything about it. And you can't really use the song for anything, basically. It's very rare that they actually lead to some useful places.
Oh, and Chopper going for the Twin Rubber.
Minnow going for the
The Market Skull.
market scouts. I don't know why he's doing weird strats, but yeah. I don't know how many. Okay, I guess he has 4 more bombs if I can see that correctly. That's definitely enough to hover up there. Like this bomb should put him there basically. Oh, not.
Okay, you got it.
Amma falling out there with the ladder clip. Nice strat. Just reloading the area. He doesn't have the hookshot, so that's how he can enter Forest Temple. One actually Chopper going for Twin Rover. This is a thing in beta, can equip the Mirror Shield as child. You can't see it, but it's there.
It actually looks really good on the second phase of Twin Rova. When you absorb her shots, your shield starts glowing even though it's invisible. And it looks just really neat.
It's definitely setting back Armor and Chopper that they don't have the hookshot. It makes both remaining Skull Golds, or two of them, in the overworld pretty hard, namely Lost Woods and Zora's Domain. Like Hylia Skulls are basically impossible, I would say, without hookshot. Well, yeah. Probably not, you can... Yeah, I mean, basically impossible. Can probably do some stupid strats to skip it. And then there are Shadow Skulls, which... Those might actually be not too bad without hookshot. But... Yeah, also Water Skulls, those are really pain if you can't find hookshot. So that's what's setting them back the most right now.
I actually think this is shaping up to be a really good race. They both got some pretty good strengths going for them. But I guess it's just on who executes better at this point in time.
Well, I think right now Marco and Manu still got the advantage since they have the hookshot. They can do pretty easily the Lost Food scales, the Zora Domain scale. And,
yes, and also they have found GTG, so they have Ice Arrow, which are a unique loading zone.
Yeah, that is true. Emma and Chopper haven't found Ice Arrows yet, so they're not going to be able to get the 3 elemental arrows. I'm also not sure if they found Bongo, although I haven't not positive on that part of it.
I've not seen them doing Bongo, but I think Manu got it pretty early, so it can't be too obscure of a loading zone.
And even another thing is you have Chopper doing Twin Rova, so if they want elemental arrows, all 3, either he'll have to get bow or something, or Emma will have to do Twin Rova as well, so not looking too great.
Oh, Bongo is crop space, okay. Oh, and yeah, Amma just found the hookshot.
And this is huge for him. So he's probably set up to do most goals then. I mean, what's left, which we don't really know how to do yet, is beat fire, for example. I would assume him going for the Shadow Skull since he knows where Shadow Temple is. And maybe also Lost Wood Skulls. I think he set that up.
I'm not sure if Amma was one to get ZL though for Shadow Skulls, so
but
might
they
have
know
Chopper
where it
do
is,
that.
so...
Yeah, they do, but it's a pretty big time sink to have both your players go for that. I think definitely the Lost Woods ones might be good, but Shadow Skulls you might leave for Chopper. Guess really just depends.
Yeah, he probably doesn't have much as child left. Though, if there's really no way... Yeah, I guess it's really chat only then. Bongo. That might be bad. Since I don't think anyone found Phantom Cannon. But at this point, I mean, they're in the lead 10-8, so they might just opt not to go for Elemental Arrow right now.
Yeah, I definitely think Elemental Arrows is a bad call right now without knowing where Ice Arrows are.
Yes. Now Chopper getting silver gauntlets for some reason. Don't remember where this led. I don't know, we see Meadow going for the Lake Skull. This is a hookshot jump, which you see now performing. You can bonk into something and pull out the hookshot, and then the little animation starts, and then you have a frame to press hookshot on. With some setups, you have 2 frames in some places, but not here. To get such a jump, and you can get onto the 3 without long shot like that.
Yeah, I think hookshot jump is one of my favorite recent discoveries, just because that trick was awful without hookshot jump. Like, it was very precise. And
yeah, this is actually the place where like hookshot jump the most, because yeah, this tree is, you can get up there with hookshot without the hookshot jump, but yeah.
I think it's also good for the Shadow Temple early. It's another place you'll commonly see hookshot jump, which is really fun.
Yeah, I prefer the old method, which is slower, but I mean, outside of bingos, Shadow Early is probably the only hookshot jump that you see quite often. That's actually interesting, Chopper going for the boomerang.
He might be getting it for some skulls, but I don't know where he would need it.
I mean, that can only be Zora's domain. Unless he wants to do so. I don't think you would do Shadow Skulls as a child. That's not really worth. And other than that, you don't need it at all.
Yeah, and I will take the last scale for the Lost Wood Skulls.
Marco and Lost Woods as well. So that was a snipe, I guess.
Yeah,
I
well,
don't know if he prepared it.
Marco still had to go to Lost Wood. He was in the meadow. Yeah, well, okay.
So what can they basically do now? Melo is grabbing Iron Boots. That way he can probably finish the Daikalia Skulls.
Yeah, that'll be
Theoretically-
important. I also think
Theoretically, we could also go for the Water Temple Skull. I don't know if he was the one getting ZL for the team.
Marco got ZL on their end, and I
But
definitely
I
think
wouldn't
he should.
expect him to go for it with Iron Boots only, but it's possible.
Yeah, it's definitely not impossible, but I think Shadow Skulls is probably the more important load at this point in time. Just given the fact that ZL is one load, but for Shadows or for Water Temple, all 5 skulls in water, there's a bunch of stuff you need to get, and you already know the enemy team has the bow, so like beating him to that might be a little bit difficult.
I mean, the huge deal with Water Temple Skulls and Beta Quest can't swap. This really makes the goal a bit harder.
And actually,
I'm
haven't
not
even
going.
found Water Temple yet. As I'm not even sure if I've seen it on any of their screens.
I don't think anyone found it, that's true. But I mean, at some point, especially Mark and Menu will have to find it, I guess.
And even then, have Marco and Menno found Shadow Temple yet? I think I saw one of them. I know that, of course, Amma has hover boots, but I don't think the others have hovers.
Yeah, especially Menu doesn't have them because he does weird strats here. And apparently he hasn't played glitchless, so he doesn't know the jumps, which Arma is performing for at least part of it. So just don't having hover boots lost Menu quite some time here, so that Arma actually beats him to Iron Boots now, even though he started way later. And all of that just because of the hover boots. What Arma's doing now is he's setting up for a cutscene skip. if you kill yourself on the frame you open the chest, you skip the cutscene where you learn Serenade of Water. You get the song anyway, but it saves like a minute. Maybe less on Japanese, I don't know. He over buffered a frame there, I think, but he got it. Recognized that he over buffered. It can be a bit tricky to see which frame it is. And menu opting to not go for the trick. Because if you fail that, you get warped somewhere in beta quest and you don't want that. Oh, and Anna's doing the old strat. This is what you had to do pre-hookshot jump. It was discovered in... You had to aim at a precise spot on the tree, and then you can stand on a weird seam, I guess. And from there you can hookshot to the top of the tree. You have to do a jump slash, and it really sucks.
Yeah, this trick is actually the worst. I mean, it's not in terms of difficulty, like it's not that hard, you could probably learn it, but the hookshot jump is just way easier. And
the point is that, I mean, you do this in MST, I guess. And if you run MST, you do this every day, then it's not bad at all. But if you play bingos, then you do this, I don't know, once in a blue moon. And then it really sucks because you don't practice this often. But no, a hookshot jump is basically free, unless you do something like that.
That was pretty great.
And now he has to get this again before it turns day, because the scout wasn't killed.
And not only that, the more he fails this, the longer he gives the other team to get that goal, as they're already pretty close on this. So this will be an interesting little race we have here.
Do they know where the lab is?
I'm not sure they got the lab.
I mean, if they don't know where it is, then it's basically pointless to get the skull. But...
Well, I mean, might as well get it while you have the opportunity. Like, as long as you're having other teammates search.
Also, it's probably not even that bad to know. Guess he got Sansong at some point. So, like, Kali has one of those spots where Sansong doesn't warp you anywhere because actually time of day passes and it will just make it day.
Oh, and Marco just found the fire temple.
Well, I guess they must have found the lab sometime. They both seem to know where it was. And that's got to be like the third time Minu's been sniped this whole game, which is really unfortunate.
Yeah, that's just data quest.
Yeah, you know, sometimes it happens where you get sniped, but, you know, constantly getting sniped in this close of a match especially, you know, that's the sort of thing that determines matches just a few seconds.
And in this case, it's actually even worse while watching the stream because for us, actually, Mano got it first. Obviously, with Ama's great delay, he was earlier. Yeah. So I guess they only need one goal now.
Yeah, no, it's at this point in time where I'd say it's probably okay for Amma to go get Zelda's lullaby and then just beat Shadow outright.
Well, not beat it, but get the scouts.
Well, yeah, but you know what I meant.
Also, Mano and Marco in the same room, which is quite funny, doing the same stuff. Both beating Namuro. Would be funny if they would both go for Twin Rover now. And yeah, Emma's actually... Wait. Oh, he is in Shadow, yeah, but looks like it doesn't have CL. And yeah, Manu is fighting Twin Rover, which means he can afterwards go back to Temple of Time and get the light arrows. So I would assume that he will be able to get the 3 elemental arrows. But with Chopper going adored right now, that will be too late probably. Because I assume he will go for the Shadow Scouts, having ZL already.
Yeah, that's for sure. If Marco gets lucky, there might be a chance. It's, you know, say if he finds Shadow Temple in the next 2 minutes or so,
Yes.
they might be able to win on that goal. And if they do, that's actually going to be huge.
Yes.
But they still need to get every goal remaining. As since the other team had already reached 12, they would lose unless they beat them to 13.
And probably they don't even know how important, because I don't think that they know that Anna has hover boots already. Yeah, you can definitely complete Fire Trial without hover boots. It's not great, but it's doable. And this was actually very interesting how Baguette rekt was in the lead actually pretty early on, but then it's not only that Ama and Chopper found many golds, and they also were able to snipe them very often. So
Yeah, I think Amma and Chopper had a very good idea of what they needed to do to win. They knew they needed those early adult goals, and especially once things like Silver Gauntlets were found, once the hover boots and everything like that were found, they were really prepared to just send one of their players adult. And since Marco and Minna went adult so late, that gave them a huge advantage. When by the time Marco and Minna went adult, Amma already had all these adult items and was already way more prepared for the adult activities.
Yes.
Yeah, adult items, things like the bow. That was another huge item Amma had that just the others didn't find.
Yeah, I think Chopper also doesn't have the hookshot yet, so he's not yet set up to do the scouts in Shadow Temple. Not quite sure. I think the best for them would be for Amma to get CR right now, which he might do. He's trading for the mushroom. Maybe if he knows the path to the shop in Keg. That way he could actually RBA ZL. It's not very common in beta quest because you specific loading zone and you have to be able there from the Lost Woods within the 3 minutes the timer gives you. But there he already got it, so that's fine. He will now be able to go back to Lost Woods, trade the odd potion which he gets right now for a saw. And if he RBAs with a saw on C right, he will get a bunch of songs, including Zelda's Lullaby. That will enable him to do both Water Skulls and Shadow Skulls.
You know what they might even do? Well, no, I guess they haven't found Gerudo Training Grounds, but I was going to say they could just RBA Broken Goron Sword.
That's true.
And you can get the Elemental Arrows. So that may be a strat for the other team to use if they've been taking good notes.
Yeah, and Amma wanted to play Warp Song in Dampy's Grave, but it doesn't work for some reason. You can't warp in there. It's like Dampy's Grave and Gerudo Training Grounds. For some reason, you just can't warp. And also the Windmill, but it's basically the same as Dampy's Grave, so that doesn't really count. Meadowstream is looking interesting.
Yeah, he was having lag issues, and I guess it didn't fully recover.
So we don't know. There's a glitch which can occur well, and we don't know if that's happened or not. And yeah, Amma is about to get ZL right now. It's just a matter of maybe a minute. He can get Botlon B with a bomb there pretty easily. Then be set up to do some scouts. And we have Menu back. So now Armor RBA the odd potion that gave him Song of Time. And also the spiritual stones, but just adult, you don't really need them at all. And now RBAing Saw, I would maybe not. Were you up to not RBA it? Oh, okay, you will.
No, I think he was just checking his songs. Maybe he didn't remember or something.
Yeah, the point is he deletes Sunsong right now. I think he had it. But that's a good trade, I would say, because he knows where Shadow Temple is. So he can just get these scouts right now or stumble upon Water Temple and do that. So what the Saw gives you besides ZL are some Warp Songs, Serenade of Water, which he already had. And additionally you get Nocturne of Shadow, you get Prelude of Light. So these 4 songs.
Yeah, Manu just got the lights arrow, but he still needs to take the bow. Or to RBA Kochiro for Quiver.
I think
get
one
the
of
fire
them
arrow.
got Router's Ladder. Maybe Menu has it.
Manu doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah, Menu doesn't. I'm not sure about Marco, but I just checked Menu's inventory for that.
I'm 100% sure that at least one of the pro players dived for it. Maybe I'm paranoid, but I am pretty sure.
No, I know one of them was in the water for the exit, but I'm not sure if I saw any of them dive for it.
I think I saw someone dive for it. But yeah, doesn't really matter. Chopper gets the hookshot, so he will be able to do Shadow Skulls as well. Yeah. So they're in pretty good shape, I would say. Not really sure why no one is heading there straight away.
I think that's where Emma's going right now, actually. He's going to be in Shadow after that Death Warp, I think.
Yeah, that might be the case. Yes. And he already has the hover boot, so can dive right in. There is usually a safe warp required, but there might be some other route you can do to avoid it. I'm not completely sure if he is set up for that. But basically you can go through the temple normally.
He just make a flip to avoid the spinner.
Tried to sign off right as he collected the rupee, but it was too early. You have actually a short amount of time to input some side hops when pressing switches or collecting these rupees.
Oh,
Yeah,
so it looks like
this-
they did know
yeah.
where water was. That's good. But it's still a little bit too late. But nice to know that it took good notes.
I was doing a hookshot clip right now using this. You can just clip through the wall like that. And as I expected, he's basically doing the glitchless route through the temple so that he doesn't have after riding the boat. Because there is basically no way to get back up if you rode the, like if you took the boat and then if you don't have set FW, the only option is to save warp. Oh, Mano doesn't have the hover boots apparently, so he does some other strats to get to the bow. Which is significantly harder, I would say. Meanwhile, Abba on his way to the third skull. And yeah, Marco doing some cool water temple stuff. You can clip in the out of bounds wall and then swim up. And then he does a weird shot here to get a key. Unfortunately, you can't really get out of there. So as I said, some goals get easier in beta quest like Blue Gauntlets, but others like the Water Temple Skulls, just because save warps are involved usually, get a bit harder if you don't have FW. Now I will go through a sequence of rooms which are not often seen in Ocarina of Time speedruns. Basically, the only time you would see that is in glitchless. So, especially this room, not even in bingos would you ever see this.
Yeah, so right now there's not really a whole lot to talk about. Most of the players are just finishing up their respective dungeons. This is probably going to be over before too much longer when Amma finishes up Shadow Skulls.
Yeah, it's probably not even taking 2 more minutes. So this boat ride takes quite some time, but after that he just will go to the skull. So I would not be surprised if we see the goal marked very soon, because he's delayed, so might be over at any point now. This was definitely a solid job by Chopper and Amma, coming back up, being down, I think 6-2 in the beginning.
Yeah, that was really impressive by them. They've certainly, been putting in a whole lot of work this whole tournament, so it's nice to see that they were able to bring it back.
No, Marco back in Water Temple. He messed up his dread when he was here the first time, but now he can do a backup. Or try it again, rather. And he's basically set up to get the skulls now, but that's just too little too late. Yeah, Arma just marked the goal, so
Yeah.
this is a victory for them.
That was a good race. I liked it. Pretty close. Good comebacks. Lots of snipes. Everything you can really ask for in a beta quest race.
Pretty fast-paced as well, so there was no time where nothing would go down. So sometimes it's a bit rough to watch because everyone is just exploring stuff, but here basically at least one player knew some stuff he could do, so yeah, definitely fun to watch. Okay. I think we were offline for a second, but everything's back working now. Yes, once someone claims a goal, the opposite team is not allowed to take that as well. Which means once a team reaches 13 goals, the race is automatically over because the other team just has 12 goals left.
Hey guys.
Oh,
Hey.
GG guys.
Hey, everyone.
Yeah, we had a small debrief because we wanted to insult them. Yeah, too many snipes.
Maybe
I think that's
kind of a snipe. But
yeah,
I was
snipe.
going in Ice Cavern to get the map, the last map.
2 minute snipe.
Map and compass in DC, I was opening the chest of the compass.
For 5 like Ilya skull, I was aiming to the last skull in the lab. And Marco was just clicked on the last skull and a range appears. Yeah. So
Yeah, there were definitely many snipes in the second half of the race, I'd say.
Oh, and
that's-
beat Spirit, I was going to beat Naburu. That's it.
Well, we were not in a rush really because without it was really hard for you to find it.
Naboo was kind of easy for us, but Mirror Shield was hard.
Yeah, Mirror Shield was not easy.
And
I got it after my 5 hours.
Oh, 5 Marcus Curl. 2 minutes as well.
Or
I was getting the last curl. I was song warping to go to Fortress to get the last one.
It's pretty crazy how I found every sculpture very, very early. Like I found I found lots of pots very early, like the first warp of market, and then I found the one in the grotto right after, and before that I found the one in the castle. I mean I found the castle before, so that was really fast to find every warps for that go. We also found hookshot kinda late.
We found it like 50 minutes maybe.
50 minutes in?
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't hard, but
And I think the great game changer in this match to go adult pretty early on, I would say.
Yeah, we did a mistake to
Yeah,
go
but
adult very late.
We didn't have a shield for an hour, an adult shield for an hour, so.
Yeah, but we got bottom as well, and we should have gone as adult as soon as possible.
Like, going adult early wouldn't have been good for us because we didn't have a shield, so.
oh yeah, there was alien shield in the lab. I mean,
Yeah. We did it super late.
Yeah, I don't think going adult like super early may have been the best, but it was the fact that it was so late that allowed Emma to get. You know, he had a ton of items. You guys already went.
well, the
Adult.
thing is, in this card there was not that much gold to do as Charles, so I just quickly got the skill in Lostwood and Market. Yeah, well, they were on my road, but yeah.
I think it's more like the snipes killed us more than the going adult late, I think.
Oh yeah, the snipes were the biggest problem by no questions
Yeah,
asked.
I'm really happy because I feel like I played well.
Well, I played well.
I really feel I played well. Like getting fire arrows, I got like I think all of my side flip were Yobo every time. Like I got the good frame every time on the buffer. That was really crazy. So yeah, did you find Fire Temple or Water Temple?
Yeah, water.
Yes.
I was just in Water Temple to do the skulls.
Okay.
Yeah, I was
Fire.
doing.
And fire, yes, but no Volvagia.
Oh, we found Volvagia though.
Huh. Yeah, fire was just what was it? Oh, I don't remember.
God of Fortress
Oh,
8.
Yeah, just an entrance in Fortress.
No.
really?
Yeah, I was doing the last elemental arrows. I was doing the hover for
Oh
the
yes,
fire arrows.
you found Bongo?
Yeah, that was Link's house. No, that was
What?
No.
No.
Crawl space.
Okay, yeah, that was entering inside
Oh,
castle.
wow. Okay.
And yeah, that's it. Blue Fire, you were on it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
We really rushed it. We were kinda sad when you got it.
So yeah, for 5 hearts, I got slowed down because I found GTG on the way. Otherwise, I would have had it. I should have done it. Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering, what were you doing? It
Yeah,
took me time before finding stuff to get 2 hearts.
I had 4 hearts, and I got bombs. I was planning to do King Dodongo, so I left DC, and it puts me in front of Dinsfire entrance, and Dinsfire was GTG. So I just tried it, and
Oh. So much child stuff.
yeah.
So, Neighbor's Love was Water Temple, actually.
Yeah, I found it with another warp. I don't know. It was Aquascape? That's weird.
Yeah. Yeah, that was yeah.
Yeah, because
was-
that fairy fountain was Nero's Love.
Okay.
And then Samsung.
Yeah, I found Samsung at 3 minutes.
Wow.
What?
I died next to Nero's Love.
Marco style, Sensong early. That's a key to do good solo blackouts.
Yeah, I don't have Samsung anymore because I RBA'd Zeal.
Oh, really?
Oh wow.
So, yeah, I got Poacher too.
Oh, for Shadow. Okay.
Yeah.
What was
Because-
Shadow?
That was exiting long range HP,
What?
which was exiting lab. Did you find the lab?
Yeah. Yeah. I was getting the last kill, by the way.
So you exit the lab, you end up in the ranch, you Samsung or die, and then you die again. It's like taking the all.
Okay.
Yeah, the
Oh.
alien. Like,
Yeah, so much child warp.
Yeah. Damn.
Well, we have a new color now. Yes. Range. Yeah, well, I was saying during the race to Marco that when we were close, like 8-8 or 7-7, that was a race that I wanted to do, a close race. And yeah, thank you for that. I won't thank you for the snipe because I'm still salty, but thank you for the race.
Yeah, I wanted my revenge so hard, so now I will get it.
yeah.
I don't think so.
Zubals.
Yeah, we still have to rematch the people in the grand finals right now, so the story
Yeah,
is
it
just a
is.
stepping stone.
Well, can we have a rematch too? No? Okay.
Again?
I'll
I
check
think
with you,
if
with the
the
host.
tournament organizer decides that this match has to be played, no? So
Sure, of course.
rip.
Yeah, it was still fun though. Well, I think that will be fun tomorrow, but that was fun, I guess. What else? Quick planning point. Are you all four free to do the race this weekend?
Probably.
This weekend? No, I'm not.
I'm not available this weekend either.
Okay. Okay. Next weekend, maybe.
Yeah. That works for me.
I'm not available on Saturday next weekend. Sunday might work, but not Saturday.
I guess we'll see on the chat. We'll check.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll work on it in the chat.
Yeah, I'm being pushy because I want to
Because
end this
next-
tournament before OCS.
Yeah, well,
But then the next OCS is the 27th, and if we can end the tournament the 26th, that would be perfect. Or 25, that would be perfect. Well, I'm going to sign off. Thank you for the race once again. Thank you for the commentary. I think that you should check some of your goal on the Speed Gaming channel. That could be fun. You can also check Marco's reactions. That's also fun. and and that's it for me. Thank you guys. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
So I guess we're wrapping up.
yeah, I was